Hi everyone and happy Monday. Now we have a page today from Rooms of Wonder. This is from Johanna Basford's weekly planner, but this picture is taken from her Rooms of Wonder book, and we have this office sort of scenario going on. Now I know a lot of people were, when they saw this page, they were like, I don't know if I really want to colour this. It's, you know, it's not that fun. But actually, and I've been looking at this all week thinking, what on earth am I going to do with this? But and when I coloured it originally, I did a sort of blue theme, red theme, green theme, something like that, and just did a few pencils. And I wasn't that pleased with it, to be honest. So I've decided I want to do something really different. And I've got my Staedtler Design Journey pencils out, just because we've got lots of little details. But I looked at some pictures, looked up some versions of this on Pinterest, and I found the ones that I liked the best were the ones done with lots of warm colours. So I'm going to start by doing the background of each one in a nice warm colour, so that we sort of get going with something nice and pretty, and then I felt it lifted the whole picture. So I'm starting with number 16, and I'm going to do this top section, so I will come in even closer. And I'm just going to do the background to start with this number 16 pencil, and just fill that in. Now, with the background, I usually find that it's a good idea to do it first, or to plan it first. You don't have to do it first, but I find that if I leave it until last and I haven't thought about what I'm doing for it, it can be quite difficult to choose the colour, because maybe you've used every colour. In a picture like this, it's likely we're going to use a huge range of colour, and by doing it first, it means that we know what our background is, so we won't use this colour. I'm just trying to work out where our background goes here. We won't use this colour elsewhere, or not in a way that makes the item sort of disappear. Because if I coloured this frame of this picture with this, it wouldn't stand out because it's the same colour as the background. So it would make it quite difficult for us to choose one if we left it till last. However, if I'd said to myself, I'm going to do a blue background, which I'm not because it's not warm enough for the sort of idea that I've got for this page, then I would know that I needed to not do any blues on the sort of picture frame edges or whatever. So you can do it that way, plan it but not actually do it. And sometimes if it's a huge background, I find it's easier to do a little bit at a time. So do a bit of background, then a bit of foreground, bit of background, bit of foreground, and then it breaks it up a little bit. But this picture, because the bits of background are in between everything, it's okay. I don't mind sort of doing it all first. There's an ice cream here. How very random. And it's also dripping over this book, which makes me feel a bit uncomfortable. But there is an office. It's not like it's a colouring book or something fun. For home, it's just an office book, so hey. Maybe that's okay. Now, if you're colouring along in your big book, you might want to use a slightly softer pencil for your background, because it will be a bigger area that you're colouring than this, because these images are slightly shrunken in this book, and a softer pencil goes down a bit quicker, but you will still have all these details to colour around. Now, my background isn't going to be even. There's going to be darker and lighter areas, just because it's quite hard to get an even background. I used to try to do an even background, and I've sort of given up doing that really, because it's almost impossible, and it's also not very realistic. If you think about whether you're doing a sky or sort of trying to look at sort of grass in your background, or even a wall, they're not, unless this wall was painted yesterday, it won't be completely evenly coloured. And I also think a big block of colour sometimes doesn't sit nicely with the eye in the same sort of way. You know, here we've got darker and lighter areas, and it sort of feels a bit more relaxed to my eye. Maybe I'm just making an excuse, I don't know. But for me, I'm happy with that. And if you do want a big block of colour, it's actually better to use a pen. You can use alcohol markers in this the planner, because there's no picture on the back, and that might be a better way of doing a really even background. You know, possibly. I haven't used them. I've tried using a few. I don't like them. Personally, I like pictures coloured with them, I'm not saying that, but I just find that the technique and the smell, it just doesn't, I get too scared of using a wet medium. The fact that it goes through the page, it smells and everything else, it's just not for me. I might try them again at some point, but I've tried a few, and I just happened to have a couple, and it just wasn't, they just weren't for me. So that's, I like my pencils. But there we go, let's fill in that space. And what I'm going to do with this is get another colour and just put a few. Now I'm just trying to work out what's going on here, because we've got this cupboard here, and here's the end of the drawers, and this bit of shelf goes to here. Where's it end? Johanna hasn't drawn in the end of the cupboard. I think I'm going to draw an edge in, so let's pretend that's the edge there, maybe like that. It's interesting, I was just on a looking on a colouring Facebook page. I was just popping a little post up, and someone was saying, I think this book is AI, because there are little mistakes in it, and they were pointing out a couple of mistakes, and I had a look at them and I thought, I think those are human errors, not AI mistakes, because of the nature of the mistake. I was having a look with my husband actually, and he was saying people make mistakes, artists make mistakes, as I say, with that little cupboard there. Right, I'm just going to grab this one. This is the 49. And I'm just going to put a few shadows in a few areas that I'm thinking, just under this there. I don't want it too hard, so I'm just putting a little bit in like this, and it might just make the sort of unevenness of the colour look a bit more intentional. Of course, you don't have to do this if it's too fiddly for you. Maybe it might be a little bit dark under there, where those are leaning. I'm just guessing really, and just popping bits here and there along the bottom, that sort of thing. Maybe just above here, like that. And then I'm going to go back to my 16, which I'm going to sharpen. And then I'm just going to go over a few bits that I feel are like, I feel it gets dark here and it goes to light to here because it started there. I'm just going to do a bit more across here, just to back to the 16. So just a bit across here again. Hello, words. I hope everyone's having a good Monday. It's not Monday for me, it's Sunday. And this, it's actually, what's the date today? 9th? Yeah, 9th. I've been procrastinating doing this video, and doing all sorts of other things which needed doing, to be fair, but I could have done them while I was editing this later. But I was, as I say, procrastinating, but we're here now. So I'm just going over the areas where there's a bit of lightness. My aim is not to make it look really even, but just to make sure it doesn't look odd and really patchy. And hopefully that will work. Yeah. Now our next one down, I'm going to do in, I want to do it in greens, like the sort of, yeah, these greens. This is 57, so this is a nice warm green. I think the olive. Could start from the other side, but I don't think I will. Let's start here. So basically, we're going to do each room a different colour, which is what I saw in this one that I looked at. And then, but what I'm going to do is make some things consistent. So all of our furniture will be the same colour, and all of our files maybe, things like that, so that we have got something linking the three sections. You don't have to. I also think it'll be easier for me. So that's another reason, really. Oh, it's quite detailed down here, isn't it, under here? So I definitely think this is going to be have quite a few installments. I was thinking of doing one video per section, but I decided I wanted to do all the backgrounds first and then think about what colour I was going to, because I wanted to link things like the furniture together, all the plants the same colour, that sort of thing. Then I would need to do all the backgrounds first so that I knew where I was going colour-wise. Because obviously I can't do my plants this colour now, I've done it for this. So I need to think of a different colour, which is of course fine. But I needed to be aware, so I've got to wipe my nose, of what I was deciding really first. So. Oh, excuse me. Sniffing away, as always. Right, look at this, this vine is coming out of the drawer and going over the chair. Those sort of details I really like, but the sort of office folders and files and things, what's that? Oh, that's the handle of the drawer, I think. Why is there 1 on there and 2 on there? You'd hit your knee on that, wouldn't you? Ow. I think that's what it is. Must be. Yeah, I'd certainly hit my knee on that. I'm very, I don't know if clumsy is really the right word. Maybe it is. Hitting myself and stuff. But it's fine. I'm walking like into door frames. I sort of miscalculate distance, and I think it's because I don't look very well. I don't know if it's all tied in with my aphantasia, that I just don't look because I can't remember things or see things in my head, I don't know, or if because I can't see things, I look, I glance, and then I can't remember where it is or something. I just don't know really, but I don't walk into people very often, thankfully. Someone nearly walked into me the other day. I did tell the story on another video. It was quite funny. It's someone just walking along looking at their phone and nearly walked right into me. It tickled me. I know some people get cross, but I just thought it was funny. And the fact they said, "Sorry mate," as if I was some sort of young chap. It's funny. But, there we go. I did walk into someone once, actually, in the street. I was walking along and I was miles away and I was swinging my arm as I was walking. I was walking sort of fast with intention, you know, and I just didn't look, and I walked into someone and swung my arm into them. And they were quite old. I felt terrible. So I've been a little bit more attentive since then, because it was really quiet, so there wasn't anybody around. I sort of switched off. And but that was a long time ago. Yeah, as I say, I try to be a little bit more attentive. Green is supposed to be a really calming colour for walls. Our bedroom used to be painted green. I really liked it. It was quite dark green. It wasn't this colour. It was calm, but we repainted it eventually. And now it's sort of cream colour, which is fine. We ended up just painting the whole house sort of creamy colours. I don't know why we did that. But anyway. And then the person who was doing our decorating later, I said I just want the same colour. He's like, oh, you should have a feature wall and make it bright and all this. And don't want to. Just like what I've got, thank you. Now, I think that we need to do that. Cool. Inside that cup handle. Now it gets really messy there. Let's sharpen up a bit. There's a rabbit. Oh, this naughty person must have sugar. It's a spoon. It's interesting, sugar in tea and coffee. I used to like sugar in coffee. Before we sort of knew about the harm of sugar, I used to have sugar in coffee when I was young. But I soon gave it up, and actually it's fine. You just have a weaker coffee, you don't need sugar. Get used to it as well. I've never liked sugar in tea. Ugh. I remember people like stirring my tea with a sugary spoon that had been in coffee or been in my dad's tea. He used to take sugar in his tea. Ugh, it's disgusting. They won some award. He gave it up. He said it took him about 2 years. Was it 2 years or 2 months? It's quite a difference there to get used to not having sugar in his drinks. Which is interesting. He used to have 2 as well, I remember, in his tea. And his coffee. But he just grew up having it, you know, it was just a thing. It's just what you did. You didn't think about it. But I think because, I suppose you have drinks, quite a few drinks, but because there was less sugar, you didn't snack on chocolate bars and things like that. Well, they didn't have the money. It wasn't so prevalent. We didn't have sugar in our savoury food either, you know, like these days, you know, buy a sauce, it's got sugar in, that sort of thing, you know. So they didn't have that so much, so it meant that you could probably get away with a little bit in your drinks, and it wasn't so bad. Although he tries not to have it now at all. He doesn't always realise he's having it though. I think there's a problem with sort of hidden sugars and things. It's just tricky. So he doesn't, well, they don't go shopping. I think the wall is here. They order online, and although you can look at what the ingredients are, I think it's a little bit more difficult. And so he often thinks that things don't have sugar in when they do. I also think it's about time restaurants, big chains, and small chains it's harder, had to produce an ingredients list for their foods. I'm just trying to work out what that is there. Oh, it's the corner of the box. Oh, that's absolutely fine. Right, I'm going to put in some darker areas like I did on this one, in a few places with this number 579, and then maybe even it out a bit more. So sort of under shelves and, you know, just a few bits, not too dark, maybe at the bottom, just here and there. Yeah, I think they should provide an ingredients list, because I went out to eat last weekend, and so I said to the place, you know, I have a lot of, me and my husband both have a lot of food intolerances. Can you let me know what the ingredients are in your chips so I can check if I can eat them? Now you would think chips, well, if I was making chips at home, I would take potatoes and cook them in oil, so they should just be potatoes and oil, and they were very accommodating, sure. So their chips had about 6 ingredients. There was like maltodextrin and some sort of raising agents and things like that. I was really like, what is all this stuff, you know? Just putting a bit here and there. but now I'm going back to my original 57 like I did last time. I'm just going to tidy it up a little bit. So, you know, just something as simple as that has got all those ingredients in that you just wouldn't think about. And it was quite fascinating. And the dextrin being sugar, dextrose, you know, malt, which is a type of sugar. And it's like, really, there's enough in natural sugar in potato as it is. But it was just very interesting. And if they could produce this information, if they had to put it on their website or that sort of thing, I think people would be more aware, and they might start to demand a more foods with less sort of additives, I suppose they are, in, you know. As my dad complains and says, you know, chefs should be taught healthy cooking. And it's like, that's all well and good, but actually when people eat out, they probably expect to have something a bit naughty, should I say, for want of a better word. I mean, naughty isn't, you know, we shouldn't be saying good and bad, but people are expecting to have, you know, something special, shall we say. Should we use that word instead? But my dad doesn't. He expects it just to be, he thinks that it's all cooked from scratch and it's all healthy and that sort of thing. But of course it isn't. He doesn't realise that, you know, a lot of them are just microwaved meals, just warmed up, you know, and that sort of thing. I think it depends how much you pay and where you go, but he goes to sort of budget places. Right, there is our green floor, and our bottom floor I want to keep warm. I was thinking, you know, I could go down the sort of teal blue type route, but I think I want to keep warm, so I am thinking, I'm just looking at the salmon. I might do that colour. Oops, just knocking it. I think it might be a bit pink, but I think if I do it, I could always put a bit brown with it if it needs it. So I'm going to go down the salmon route. Now the outside here, we've got a little line all the way around, and we could do each one in a slightly different colour, but I think it sort of frames the whole lot, so I'll probably try and do a colour which works with everything. So I'm just thinking about it now really, what am I going to do? I could do it in black, and black is always quite a nice frame, but if you're doing something in like a pastel-y tone, which we're not, then doing a black can be a bit harsh, but a silver or a gold, even in a pen, can be quite nice, just a different, you know, sort of stands out as a frame. I think I'd be quite worried if there was a snail right next to my water fountain. So I think my approach with this is to pick out certain items that I'm going to do in blocks. So all the furniture, as I said earlier, I'm going to do in the same colour. So I should do all that at once across all three parts. And then things like the plants, I'll probably do all the plants, all the leaves the same colour, all the pots the same colour, to tie it together a little bit, make it a little bit easier with regards to colour choice. And maybe all the folders and files, something like that, the same colour, I'm not sure yet. Then I will work on all the little details. So I will come back and go back through and do the things, some of the things individually. So we'll with these cups, I'm in two minds as to whether to colour over the handles or not, and I am colouring over them as if we're seeing through them. But because most cup handles do have a hole in, some of them you can pinch and they're solid, but they're usually afternoon tea cups, really posh ones, in my experience. So I'm just colouring over those handles. You could keep them the same colour as the cup and colour around them if you want to. Got some bananas there. Nice. I assume that's some Danish pastries. I assume. Don't know. Not something I've ever really eaten much of, to be honest. When we were little, we used to sometimes have like a snail bun, or but that was it really. They're not really pastry anyway, it's cake, isn't it? Didn't really eat pastries. I think the bakeries we went to were very English, so we would have like more traditional type things, English, like donuts and drippers, or lardies as they get called. I don't know if you get them across the whole country. They're very regional, I think. And we would have that was about it really. But I think part of my family's problem, a lot of them have type 2 diabetes, and I think because they used to work in a bakery, a lot of them, and the ones that worked would bring home leftovers, you know, unsold things from the shop, that sort of thing. Oh, look at this bit. How many of you noticed? Well done if you did. My eyes are beginning to go already. I've decided that I'm just going to put my specs on. That it's partly to do with the detail in a page. Whether my eyes, it makes perfect sense, whether my eyes can or can't cope. Because I was colouring something the other day and I didn't struggle at all, and it was a much less detailed page. I think I'm struggling here with what's going on where. Now with this one, now I'm going to do a secondary colour like I have on these two, but I don't want to go with the pink, which I tend to pair this with. I'm going to use, I think, this colour. What is this colour called? 722. Yeah, this is called Indian Red. It's more of a browny, orangey reddish tone, which I prefer, but I'm only going to use it quite lightly, just under a few things. I'm trying to stop my eyesight being blurred. Even with my specs on, I'm struggling. There we go. No, I still can't see. So I'm putting a little bit under our shelves and things like that. I'm just going to have to look out the window a minute. Blink. There we go. It's a little bit better. I'm going to have to take a break in a minute. I can't see. There we go. I hadn't done that bit, had I? So I'm thinking just these little bits at the bottom. Maybe underneath a few bits like this. This bit, maybe all along here. Ah, it looks like I've missed there, doesn't it? I'm just going to grab the 222 again and just put a bit in there. Yeah, it's better. And a little bit in here. Just a tad here and there. There we go, a bit there. I'm not going to try and go in there again. I'm going to get too confused. Right. I'm going to sharpen my pencil. My 222. And then go back over it again, like we did before, starting here. And then just go back, filling in these little gaps. Now you can of course choose any colour for your background if you aren't keen on these, but you will have to bear in mind that it might impact you later in whether you can copy what I'm doing, because you know, if I use the colour that you've used, oh, I've missed a lot here, haven't I? Then if I use, say do brown and I use that for my clock, you'll have to find something else. But you might not be colouring exactly along anyway. Might be slightly doing your own thing, which I always think is good. Up to you. There we go. Going round and round. Now before I finish, which I will do fairly soon, just want to remind you, if you could just click like before you disappear off, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you to those that have already. It's amazing what a difference a little like makes to a video, and some people click dislike, that's fine as well. If you do that, I do look at the likes and dislikes a little bit. Don't take it to heart, but if one has had a lot of dislikes, I do have a look at it and think, what is it? Why? Is there some reason or not? But I tend to try and just make videos that I enjoy, because I think if I'm doing things I don't enjoy, then I'm not going to be able to make it fun for you guys. So I don't always take that much notice, but it is interesting. And as I said, I don't take it to heart, because you can't please everybody, and some people just click it because they think it's funny. Some people click it because they know that all engagement works, and that's fine. And it's only if it's a really significant amount of dislikes that I think, I wonder what happened there. You know, otherwise I'm not that bothered. As I say, you can't, if you're in this space of putting yourself out there in the public eye, you have to be broad-shouldered and thick-skinned is the right word, and I usually am. And to be honest, it tends to be thoughts of my close friends and family that I worry about more, you know, than people that anonymous people that have clicked something or written something, you know. And we're all different, we all have different views, and that is fine. There we go. I'm actually reading a book, Dr. Chatterjee's latest book, and he talks about, in a whole chapter, about how sometimes how we can get offended when people say things, and to have a look at that behaviour and wonder why we are so offended. Is it because, you know, it's something we're sensitive about? Is it something in us that's making us feel like that? I don't think it, you know, I don't think that's an excuse for people to say hurtful things, but I think it's an interesting way to build resilience against that sort of thing. Right, here we have, I think, our background done. Now, it has taken quite a long time, but I'm hoping that when we get down into our details that we can maybe speed things up a little bit, or maybe not. I mean, I'm not in a rush, but it's coming along and it's looking warm, which is what I wanted. I want a whole warmth going on, and I hope with the colours I choose for the rest of it that will continue. But anyway, I'm going to finish for today, give you a chance to sort of catch up. I can never work out why. Look, if I line the top up with the top of my camera, this bit's wonky, and if I line that bit up, that bit's wonky. It's very weird. I think my camera must be at a funny angle. Maybe it does look a bit weird, so maybe that's it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go. But thank you for watching today. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, assuming it's Monday, or just the rest of your day. Thank you for watching, and happy colouring.